It's been such a strange and confusing summer for people. And yet the cycles of farming and nature are ongoing. This crop that we were in May, when it was just so high, is now ready for harvest. And the wildflowers we were planting then are now full of bees and butterflies, setting seed to feed the wild birds over the winter. But the fact is, nobody knows what's going to happen from here on in. There's so much uncertainty facing farming right now. We always have to deal with the weather and the seasons, and this one actually hasn't been too unkind on us. And yet policy is being made as we speak. We've just had the National Food Strategy. I sit on the advisory group for that, focusing particularly on the need to look after the health of people, particularly the most vulnerable, as we come out of this COVID crisis, and starting to look at the principles and process by which we do establish trading relationships with countries outside of the EU. Meanwhile, we've just published our own manifesto for a post-COVID recovery, which we've called Grow Back Better. And we set out there the 10 things that we feel would really make a difference to make sure that we can accelerate change into a new and better future, that we can use this pandemic as a way of disrupting the complacency of our lives around issues like climate change and the loss of nature and the crisis that we have in human health. So one of those things, of course, is around livestock farming. The pressure we're putting on our wild and our domesticated animals makes this kind of pandemic more likely. It also makes much more likely the risks of antibiotic resistance, which are increasing all the time and could be a much bigger challenge for humanity than even the COVID crisis has been. And we must also stop importing feeds from countries where it's causing deforestation. All of those things circle around the way we keep our livestock. We need to be keeping fewer of them, but we need to be integrating them with proper traditional farming like organic systems and giving them the good life they deserve. It's like rock. So you might remember this field from our May videos. This was what I called the war zone, where the pigs had been through the worst of the winter. We've since sown turnips out here, which grab the nitrogen that the pigs put down through their feces, and we'll graze this off with cattle before the early winter and then put a winter cereal crop in here. It's quite interesting as you look around the field because there was a block that we didn't have pigs in, and there's not nearly as much a growth of turnips there because there's not as much fertility in that spot. So this is hopefully protecting the soil. I think more and more farmers are using cover crops to build organic matter in their soil. And one of the things that we say in Grow Back Better is that we must start to regenerate our soils so that they become carbon sinks, not releasing carbon into the atmosphere. And crops like this help us to do that. Over the summer, the EU Commission came out and said that they wanted to halve pesticide use and increase organic farming by 25% across the whole of Europe. I hope in the UK we can have a similar transformative ambition. Why should we aim for any less than that? So the wildflowers are past their best now. They're all setting seed, and there are cattle roaming around in the valley, eating off this lovely vegetation before they calve in the autumn. In our Grow Back Better report, we suggest, like many environmental organisations do, that about 10% of our farmland should be dedicated to nature recovery, to wild habitats like this Chalkland Valley, like our woods, like our hedges. It would be amazing if we could create an infrastructure of wild places so that biodiversity can really thrive in our countryside. This is our agroforestry project. So one of the things that's been really noticeable about this summer is how many people have got interested in gardening and growing things. Lots of people want to join community-supported agriculture projects or go and volunteer on farms or in market gardens. We've had a number of people wanting to come and work here. And one of the nice things for me about being on the farm this summer rather than in the office is that we've been able to accommodate some of those volunteers and people who want to learn about farming and growing. In our Grow Back Better report, we say that at least 5% of farmland should be in agroforestry. That could be like this sort of mixture of orchard and nut trees. It could be more hedges or strips of biomass trees giving protection for livestock, all sorts of shapes and sizes. But we need a farmer-led revolution for tree planting on our farmland in a way that benefits both the farming and the environment and nature. It's not just about farming, of course, but it's about the way we actually feed people. Our Food for Life programme has done that for years, trying to give kids a world-class food education. People have been cooking from scratch a lot more through the summer and really enjoying it. That would be a great thing to keep going forward, because if we can start eating proper whole foods and getting rid of the ultra-processed food that so many of us depend on every day, we would really improve the nation's health and enjoy eating together in a way that we've perhaps lost touch with over the last few decades. This pandemic's been such a strange time. But we've noticed within our own business how quickly we've adapted and changed. In fact, we've done things that would otherwise have taken us years, possibly even decades to get around to. The Soil Association wants to see the same acceleration take place across the UK, so that we really use this opportunity to take a massive step forward rather than just looking at incremental change, which is the way that we've perhaps done things over the last few decades. This is a chance to really leapfrog into a better future. We have the solutions. We know what needs to be done. Loads of people are wanting to help it happen. It's just a question now of coming together and enabling that change to happen as fast as it possibly can.